That's why I'm excited to be bringing this to you, during this time. So what I've learned over the years is that when I would become fatigued in any way, whether it's environmental challenges or different things that would either prevent me from being able to move forward in my business a certain way, or there was some stalling in certain business aspects where I was feeling just a little bit drained around trying to move certain things, into fruition, is that anytime you feel fatigued in life or in your business, it's a call to a new financial world, a new financial horizon that is expanding for you, and that you've actually evolved to a place that you haven't allowed yourself to catch up with your evolution so that you can make the proper shifts in your business dynamics so that you can be thriving instead of inching along like a caterpillar trying to survive here and there. It brings you into a unique metamorphosis in an evolutionary way where you can not just be a butterfly that launches from the cocoon, but you can be an economics eagle-preneurship where you are soaring to new heights. And so that's what fatigue is a call to, is to come up higher in your awareness that you have business frameworks, entrepreneurial frameworks, and branding frameworks that want to expand beyond what you've allowed them to. So during this time, I'm going to be inviting you into a process that I do that is a new creation evolutionary metamorphosis process that brings you into catching up with your evolutionary state in terms of your economics frameworks. It's time to look at yourself as an economicspreneur and to be able to create a new landscape in a multidimensional way so that you can definitely expand, what you're doing. So this is important is because sometimes the way that we are, the way of being that we're coming from doesn't really serve and support the now and next level of the expansion that has already been underway. It's already ensuing, but as I mentioned, not catching up with that. And trust me, I know all too well about this because I know when I have stayed in a profitability trajectory longer than I needed to. And so I needed to wake up and become aware. So when I would experience the fatigue in my life in certain areas, then again, like I said, I know that it was a call to this more expansive frontier of finances. And sometimes that can be difficult to identify or wrap your head around, your mind around in a sense, because we've been very conditioned in terms of what finances mean. And also, too, very conditioned in terms of the limitations of only what we've known finance to be. And so when you look at your business frameworks and what is no longer serving you and identifying where there were certain aspects of your business that maybe they were supposed to be seasonal or maybe it was supposed to be kind of a one-off that would consistently pay off, that you ended up making that into a bigger overarching theme that it wasn't really required for that. So this is where you start to make distinctions and identify some things in your business that kept you stalling. Now, when I'm teaching branding, branding evolution, and taking individuals through the branding and business cocoon, the metamorphosis aspect in an evolutionary way, there is a phrase, a term that I've coined, I created and coined it, and it's called brand buffering. So brand buffering is when a brand, a solo brand, so to speak, has not caught up with the evolutionary edge of their journey, that evolutionary expansion. And they're still kind of stalling around in a very one-dimensional framework and focus as it relates to how they make their impact and their income. So when you start to open up to this newness, this understanding who you've actually become, that you haven't allowed yourself to become, because maybe you're just not even aware of that expanded self as being an entrepreneur, then you start buffering. And if you know anything about buffering, like when you think about internet connection or so, something's not catching, it's not clicking. And so though you could be very much ready to put out in the world what you felt guided to create to serve your ideal audience, and next thing you know, you have people that they are sort of attracted to it and they are excited about it. They're liking, you get reactions or responses on social media, but it's not connecting to convert. Okay. It's not making that connection where it's turning over. It's buffering. It's something. It's like, I see it. It's loading. It doesn't fully feel like it's there. And so what happens vibrationally is there's like this energetic holdout that your target audience, they can sense, they can feel that, but they don't know what that is. They just know they want to be a part of what it is that you are offering, excited about it, but it doesn't seem to connect. So sometimes this can be the format that something's being offered in. And also too, something, again, that you may be making the big thing, maybe is just a component of something much more expansive. So something that I teach in my entrepreneurial looking glass is a metaphor for taking individuals through a process. If you're familiar with Alice in Wonderland and you've seen Alice through the looking glass, then you know that there were times where she would have to morph to get into whatever new dimension that she needed to. So sometimes she would drink something and she would turn big, and then she would eat something and then she would become small. And when this was going on, it was very representative of different stages that she needed to be in at different times. So sometimes she had to drink something to become small enough to fit through a certain door or a certain portal so that she could get in. She was too big for it. And then there were times where the representation of she would eat something or drink something and she would grow big. That meant that she was already too expanded for where she was. So with me sharing this, you can understand how financial fatigue sets in your business because you're going through these different dynamics and nothing ultimately is expanding you into this new dimension. But that's because you're not allowing the shiftings of what's taking place in your business to actually be keys to a door, entryway to new dimensions, because you're still one dimensionally focused for how you're trying to make your business ideas and frameworks work. Right. So with this comes exhaustion. So you want to shift from the exhaustion and the fatigue to being energized and energized economically. And the reason why this is important for you to embody yourself as an economicspreneur is you become one with currency. You become one with your new financial identity. And again, the embodiment of economics as a whole. This is what gives you the ability to start to carve out new lanes, create multiple economic landscapes so that you're not in some type of one-dimensional structure framework that only allows you to operate in a core function in your business, whether you're a coach, you're a consultant, even if you're a writer, you're author, or speaker. When you have a one-dimensional framework in terms of how you operate, and I'm not talking about, you just have one offer. You can have multiple offers, but if they are not to their evolutionary expansion, and if they are not repositioned accordingly for how it needs to show up, maybe as a cohesive experience or the individual experiences, then what you run into is the financial fatigue and that exhaustion. And so, as I mentioned, when this occurs, it's always a call to a new financial frontier, a new financial world. And typically, that's going to look like you creating a customized cash flow kind of experience for yourself where you're stepping out of these cookie cutter frameworks, these one size fits all types of financial models for your business. You have to really create from what I call your unique encoding. And that's what happens when you go through an evolutionary metamorphosis is you start to extract your unique economics encoding, your unique new financial DNA, which will then help you to navigate this new terrain, this new trajectory that's being carved out by your evolution. So when you feel that you're at a profitable plateau and you want to be able to make the shifts, here's how you can accelerate your process through looking at your brand and looking at your business, looking at, your whole overall entrepreneurial journey in this evolutionary way and taking it through the unique metamorphosis. So what this looks like metaphorically is that you look at your experience and everything up until this point is that it was a caterpillar type of experience and now it's breaking down and it's decomposing so that a new creation format of who you are in this energized economicpreneur real type of way of being will come forth. So one of the things that I teach in this process is that everything basically up to this point in your experience is content.